us hunger, death consumed. Greetings and welcome to the Tournament of the Living Dead. I'm Flesh Wound Dan, and I'm joined by producer Todd.
Good evening.
The most iconic Return of the Living Dead hater on the planet, Pugs Dread.
No, say.
And zombie expert, Chris McGibbon.
What's going on?
So, Pugs, let them know how the Tournament of the Living Dead works.
What we do for our tournaments is rate and review a film, and then at the end of the episode, we'll add that movie to a list compiled from our previous episodes. And then we will vote to eliminate one of those films off the list, leaving us with our 3 zombie films, aka our 3 survivors. Then those 3 final survivors will go up against a new zombie film every episode until we reach day 13. And when we get to that point, we will pick one of the 3 survivors as our Tournament of the Living Dead champion. So now that that's out of the way, Todd, tell us our previous eliminations and whatever the hell else is on the menu.
Thank you, Pugs. Our previous eliminations are Primoto's Fallen Angels, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, Dead Girls, Nightmare City, Biozombie, World War Z, 13 Eerie, Dance of the Dead, and The Dead Hate the Living. Our films up for contention are Lucio Fulci Zombie, Return of the Living Dead, and The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue. And now added into the mix, Undead. Why don't you tell us about Undead, Dan?
All right, so from 2003, we have an Australian zombie movie from writer-director the Spierig Brothers. And in Undead, an onslaught of meteorites crash land in the small country town of Berkeley. The bombardment brings with it an otherworldly infection. The living dead are awoken, and a small band of desperate survivors led by local beauty pageant winner Renee and town loony Marion fight for survival in a world gone mad. All right, so Undead came out from Lionsgate back in the day and made some noise. And Chris?
Wait, no. No, you're jumping ahead because we were going to talk about the releases.
Okay,
Before
yeah.
Lionsgate had the version. So I know Chris is aware of this too. The original version is it runs, I want to say, about 8 minutes longer. And when Lionsgate got a hold of it, they cut the film for US market, eliminating some introductions for characters that actually made a little more sense. But there's about 8 minutes worth of it cut out, kind of like they did with High Tension around the same time to kind of tighten it up, make it more American like that when they kind of went half and half with the dialogue. But it's from that same era.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because my memory's not as good on this. It wasn't really gore, right? It was kind of like you're saying, plot stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really gore stuff. It was basically, the plot. Characters, introductions, and different parts throughout. There might be a little gore mixed in throughout that, but I mean, it wasn't just 8 minutes of gore. That's a lot of fucking gore. But since that cut, the original cut has disappeared. Like that's like all the new Blu-rays struck have the US theatrical cut is what we'll call it, not the true uncut version. So I don't know if now it's the director's and preferred version or what, but either way, yeah. And I was disappointed that the Umbrella Blu-ray doesn't have any of those scenes as extras either. So there we go. There's some history on it. Now, so the cut that is technically now, the cut that everyone can see, it's on Shudder everywhere. So that's the version we're going to be talking about. So there we go. That was it. Now, Chris, did I leave anything out? Is there anything you want to add on that portion of it before we talk about the film?
No, I mean, I think when the last time you and I talked about when we were talking about doing this movie, I asked if the Blu-ray had the uncut version or not, and you were going to check on that, and you sounds like you did. So I honestly didn't remember what was cut, so I couldn't remember when rewatching it. Like, was this what was missing? Because I have that DVD somewhere, the Australian DVD still kicking around. So I am actually really shocked that they didn't offer both versions and that there wasn't more of I'm gonna say an uproar, but more like people going, "Hey, what the fuck?" But I do.
It's happened with some other films too, where like the US cut became the dominant cut.
Yeah, Dead Alive's another one where that was
Yeah.
pretty.
That one became that one did too.
Well, that one was a special instance of the first cut was rushed, and when Peter Jackson was prepping it for the U.S. market, he had more time to kind of finesse it, and so he's always said that cut, the unrated U.S. cut, is actually his preferred cut, even though it is missing footage and gore. But he's the one who made those decisions to cut stuff out. So, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
and that's the thing.
okay.
I don't know if that's the same situation here. It's unfortunate because some of the stuff is, the character, introduction.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
So-
yeah. And
so the version of the film you saw, though, Chris, let's talk about it. What'd you think? Did it hold? I know we've talked about this before. Me and you are both fans of this. You still a fan? I mean, you said you had rewatched it. You caught a bit of it on like the Shudder Live channel, but this is like the first real rewatch now since the original release.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those ones. It kind of falls in line with Dead Hate the Living in a lot of ways, where this was zombie stuff was kind of starting to pick up again. Resident Evil had come out. This came out in what, 2003? I think.
3.
And then it came out in the US in like 2006, so it was like 3 years later. But I had picked up like that Australian DVD, so this is like pre, remake of Dawn of the Dead, pre Land of the Dead.
It was before it was even out in the US, so it was like we got something early, so it was a little special.
Yeah. So, and I remember, and I at the time, I mean, I think I remember just being fucking confused by the whole thing because I was trying to piece together what the hell was it? Aliens? Were they zombies, and were the aliens involved? Oh no, the aliens were trying to protect the people and they were trying to help them, and then they fucked up, and so the aliens left and let the zombie plague spread because there was no stopping it. I was like, oh, okay. Like as an adult, I watched it and went, oh, I get it now. I understand what they were trying to do here. And it's a fun movie. I mean, it's got a lot of great gags in it. It's got a lot of fun characters, your typical kind of zombie fare. You've got characters disagreeing about what to do, and the asshole characters and the good characters, and and buttloads of zombies. And there's a lot of humor in this one too. It has a lot of Evil Dead 2-esque style humor. And I always remembered thinking it was weird that I think one of the sound effects used for one of the zombie scenes is a monkey. And I just remember going, what? And, and I still kind of did that. But that was one thing that stood out to me. And I wasn't sure if I had misremembered it until I heard the monkey again. I went, nope, they used a monkey sound effect. That's right. So, but yeah, it's a fun one. It's not, to me, it's not like earth shattering. I mean, it's just a good time. But it's definitely, there hasn't been anything like it since it got made. Okay, I'll say that. Like no one's tried to do anything in a similar vein of merging.
It was really ambitious at the time too.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, and some of this is one too where some of that kind of low budget CGI doesn't look quite as bad. Like it still holds up okay. I think they were very wise to really like boost the contrast levels on a lot of that shit, so it just looked very otherworldly, and they used a lot of bright lights to kind of hide the crappy CGI. So I appreciate that most of that still actually held up.
Yeah, that was one thing I know we'd even talked about that. Like I wasn't sure where that was going to land, and overall I was like, yeah, it didn't jump out like the fire of last show. So.
Yeah, this movie, I remember when Lionsgate put it out, they kind of marketed it as a more like serious horror film, and it's really, I know they were really inspired by 50s B movies, and you can feel that love come through in this. And I'm a big fan of Australian films in general, not even just genre. Some of my favorite films come out of that region. And you can, yeah, absolutely, and you can feel that energy, that Australian energy in this film. And I was going to say Peter Jackson, of course, he's from New Zealand, but a similar energy there as well. Like it's just something about those areas that it's a particular sense of humor that just really hits for me. And this one, same thing. A lot of memorable characters crammed in here. the storyline with the aliens, it works. It's way over the top. It's almost Trauma-esque at times on a bigger budget, particularly towards the end.
I disagree with that statement.
The naked
Same.
alien gag.
Same.
I totally disagree. There's some trauma
Okay.
energy in this. I stand by what I said.
Did someone just like say
Fine, you
energy
said
and now
it.
you got to say it every time now?
Trauma energy is going to be the new thing. It's going to be the quote when this other cut comes out.
Next
But
week, a
anyway.
Trauma Energy drink, I'm in. Like in a Toxic Avenger.
Ooh.
You got me to drink one finally.
Mm.
There you go. Great gore. Chris points out, I mean, obviously it's not the most realistic gore, but it does work. For the tone of the movie, I don't think any of the shoddy CG that is there really hurts it. You can see this movie was shot, I think, for like $80,000 Australian. I don't know what the conversion rate is there, but you can see why the Spierig Brothers went on to bigger and better things. I mean, Daybreakers, Jigsaw, Winchester, and Predestination, which is the lesser known one, but I think their best movie. But yeah, I really enjoy it. Maybe it's just my love of Australian film, but I actually enjoy it more now than I even did then, which is weird. I don't know why.
I do really have a soft spot for the American poster, even though it has nothing to do with the movie and the color tone is completely off. It is a badass looking poster.
Yeah, they really weren't trying to promote this as what it is, which I thought was
No, they just wanted to create something to sell and success, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Well, also, in fairness, that image is in the film. She is wearing the gas mask and she is holding the shotgun. So
it seems to imply like something else, though.
Yeah.
It definitely does. But at least they didn't pull a Rise of the Dead, okay? Because Lionsgate did that back in the day. They had that. What was it was about a fucking baby or something. I can't remember what this movie even was. But it was they called it Rise of the Dead, and it had a zombie bursting out of like the ground, or a head bursting out of the ground. And it wasn't a zombie movie at all. It was about like a fucking a ghost baby or something like that. I can't even remember. But I remember
just
being
interested
fucking
already.
pissed.
Dead babies, I'm in.
Well, zombie movies were hitting, so it's like, yeah, let's make it look like that.
Yeah, let's be honest. Lionsgate home video marketing team from that era was pretty shady.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus! At least they had the principles to not put out Axum. I'll give them that.
Yes, just no, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's pretty bad.
this is my line.
2003. It's like Lionsgate is like, no, it's not quite up to our standards, pal.
All right, but
For-
Undead Pugs. Yeah, what did you think about it?
I was there for like the big push for it, so I was like
we can
really
avoid it?
excited. Yeah.
Me
So
too. I still
hey,
have some of the posters.
you still wouldn't talk to me then, but it's fine.
Wow.
It worked out. Yeah, Chris, I used to know this guy, or we've been in the same place since I was like 10, and he
Mhm.
just didn't bother with me at all. Being
Yeah,
an
I'm
old
not
guy,
hanging out with-
snob.
yeah.
Gonna show me the
off,
way.
kid.
I was not at XPW trying to befriend children. That's
You know
more
what?
of an ROH thing.
We'll move on. Undead. At the time, I thought it was really cool and ambitious, and I was like, "What the fuck am I watching? Why are there aliens? Why does this have such a cool shine?" I will say it doesn't hold up to the love I had for it back in the day, but I still enjoy it. Like, it has an iconic fucking 3 shotgun thing.
Yeah.
The gun. I'm easy to please when you have an identifiable thing like that, a chainsaw, a gun, a boomstick. I can relate to that, or I'll horn in on it, and that was cool. Yeah, this is just a wild story with fun people or fun characters to hang out with, and I'm still not entirely sure what the hell went on in the movie, but I like watching it every time. So I don't love it like I did before, but it is still a good time.
I forgot about the whole, people floating, the airplane scene, and I was like, I was watching it again because it had been a little while for me as well, and I'm like, this is really fucking clever, and I still to this day I haven't seen a lot of the things in
It's
this.
like a biblical reference too, and so they're like pulling from everywhere. Yeah, good shit.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, we've got 100,000 zombie movies since then, and I think this one still holds up.
And actually, before we move on from this, I'm reading real quick just to see about that other cut. So evidently, there is a Blu-ray of the original cut that from a company called Asylum, and it looks like they are an Australian company, and it specifies on the back Undead International Cut, 103 minutes
8 minutes. Okay.
or 8.
Oh,
I can't tell
okay.
if that's the 3 or an
Yeah,
8.
it could be either one. I know it's one of those.
So
All right.
apparently there is a Blu-ray of that version out there, just not in the US.
All right. Well, good
Look into
research,
that.
Chris. Now that'll have to change. We'll have to import some of them, some bitches.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, someone's gonna have to grab that one.
Yes. And maybe we'll get a
Oh.
sequel one day, because I mean, there is a tease. I was like, Spierig Brothers, go back to the beginning to make that sequel finally happen. 20
Undeader.
years later.
Undeader.
All right. Well, let's go. Okay, we did Pugs. What do you rate this?
I'm only going to take off half a star, so it's a 3 out of 5 for me. It's still fun.
All right, Chris.
I'll be in the same boat as Pugs on this one. 3 out of 5 sounds good to me.
I'm a little higher. I'm a 3.5. I still have fun with this.
And I'm the highest at a 4. I think the inclusion of the aliens will make it stand out, even for you guys out there that have zombie burnout. So
Lose the half for the biblical reference. All right, so there we go. Well, okay. What do we have up for elimination? We have Pugs. I know I'm going to you first, so I'm just going through the motions.
It's fine.
Lucio Fulci Zombie, Return of the Living Dead 2, The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, and Undead. Pugs, what are you eliminating?
First off, it's not Return of the Living Dead 2. It's also, but I'm going to eliminate Return of the Living Dead. Because Return of the Living Dead 2 is probably better than this one. So.
Interesting. All right, Chris, what are you eliminating?
Undead. I'd have to eliminate Undead for this one.
I'm going to eliminate The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue.
Whoa.
do I have an option to eliminate Return of the Living Dead 2? I guess not.
Like the
You
first
can take off the second part and just say the word.
No,
Yeah.
no, that ain't happening.
No, it's
But
2 isn't
wasting
also.
our fucking
That's
time.
your option. Yeah.
And don't
Come on,
you start
Dan.
shitting on Return of the Living
Listen
Dead
to how
Part
my
2, Dan.
words spell.
I would put Undead over Return of the Living Dead 2, but I got to eliminate Undead.
Yeah,
So,
well, don't
All right.
start talking shit on Return of the Living Dead 2. I know where you live.
it's not shit talking. I was just
No, I'm just saying.
Undead's got to go.
All right.
Didn't have to,
Well,
Dan. But okay.
there we go. Undead has been eliminated. Thus, another episode of Tournament of the Living Dead. Dan, say goodnight.
Good night, guys.
All right. Money's on the dresser. Chris?
Oh, fuck it.
I'll see you in Disneyland.
Fucking